guess, in terms of the investigation infractions case, was this something from your perspective that you wanted to see that play out before you really finalized this, or could you have been fine with announcing something if it had been finalized before?
No, I think we didn't have that as a critical dynamic of when and how. It literally, as Bill said, I mean, it's 7-8 months in the making. We obviously weren't going to jump into it during the season last year. We have had a lot going on in the spring and into the summer, and maybe some of that related to the case, right? Some of the work that we've continued to do to get to that finish line just a few weeks ago, but that wasn't a driver of announcement. It took every day down to the stretch, just with all the dotting of I's and crossing of T's.
So from your perspective, what was the drive to get this, amended deal done?
Well, proof's in the pudding. I mean, literally, we're talking about the most consistent, most successful coach in modern basketball, and for a number of reasons. I didn't feel like, and the chancellor didn't feel like, his contract was necessarily reflective of that. And so that's what this contract reflects. It reflects having the best coach in college basketball at the helm, and not necessarily ensuring, but maybe it's viewed as cementing him to finish his career right here at Kansas. And you guys know what he and this program have meant to the University of Kansas. It extends far beyond the hardwood. You think about enrollment, years and years and years of impact in driving students to KU, expanding the brand of what the Jayhawk means globally, alumni engagement, right, and all the impacts that has for KU and our work with our alumni to be engaged, to be supportive, to be involved. The academic profile, I mean, you could go on and on. So, you've got to take those things into account when you're talking about a contract, you're talking about compensation and a total package for somebody that's done something that, frankly, I think is unprecedented in college basketball.
Did those conversations originate with you guys or with him and his representation, or do you remember? I mean, where does something like that start?
I probably said something to him pretty early in my tenure, which was to say, hey, the contract they did in 21 was great because it had that rolling kind of lifetime quote unquote effect to it. But I also knew that it was going to be my role to make sure that the other elements of the package and the compensation and everything else, again, was reflective of what I just talked about.
Gotcha.
So I think I probably referenced that to him this first half of my 2.5 years here. And then when you go through, national championships or a national championship, all the thing that's been out in front of us, by the time we really were able to dig deep, we of course had the health scare. So I think it was important for us to make sure that the conversation was bigger than just his contract at KU. It was, hey, health at the forefront. How are you feeling? How are you projecting in terms of your desire to continue coaching? All those kinds of more, life kind of conversations is really where it activated back in, late March probably. And then, from there you get into some of the depth of the contractual stuff.
What was the relativity of the IARP decision and this announcement?
Well, I think I tried to describe that a little bit, which is to say that the IRP process and the cases had taken an extensive amount of time, energy, conversations. I mean, obviously you can imagine a lot of the conversations Bill and I have had over my tenure here have been related to that, and making sure we continue to have great alignment, making sure we've got the right, plan and strategy and so on and so forth. So the relationship is really that it's been a really significant workload for everybody at the university, and certainly for the AD and certainly for the head basketball coach. But other than that, it was just the progression. Am I pleased that that's behind us? First and foremost, I'm pleased it's behind us and we're moving forward. And I think it fits well that we then have a great announcement yesterday to celebrate, I think, what is representative of the future of Kansas basketball.
I know it's written into the contract that you and he will, at the end of the 25-26 season, discuss the terms again. Just how'd you arrive at that particular juncture?
Yeah, that feels a lot sooner now than it did when we were first starting to talk about it. That's only 2.5 years out. I think, again, part of his answer, right, of, well, are you going to do this till you're 73, 75, 68, all the unknowns that are out there? I think you looked at, well, we're setting terms over a 5-year time frame. So it's a lifetime deal, but we've said we're gonna at least set terms for 5 years. And then you just kind of look at the midpoint of that and go, well, let's jump back in and let's talk, right? Let's make sure we're evaluating, again, his desire, the state of the program. I mean, I know for me, as I fast forward 2.5 years from now, it's gonna have been important for me, our leadership, our entire department to have continued to invest in men's basketball, to continue to have raised the bar for what that program's meant here. So I think the conversation's always bigger than just the contractual details. So that's some of what that achieves. And then of course you get a chance to say, okay, as we look out over the second 2.5 years of the contract, how do we forecast any adjustments that need to be made at that point?
Makes sense.
Travis, how do you feel about just how the football program is doing right now? Just the run it's been able to have.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I think, the Oklahoma win was exciting and emotional for a lot of Jayhawks for a whole host of reasons, but I think you could make the case that going on the road to Iowa State made even potentially a stronger statement about the state of the program, where you guys all know 2 years ago in Ames what statement that made, right? And just 23, 24 months later for this program to string together incredible back-to-back wins. It shows that it's not just, we didn't just play well last week or the week before, we've got a program now. And so I think that to me is the most exciting aspect. You're always trying to make sure you can dissect and understand, is this just a great moment or is this something that can be great for the long haul? And I think these past couple weeks really indicate this is something that can be great for the long haul.
Travis, would you ever consider a lifetime contract for Lance Leipold?
Hey, listen, I mean, same story. Like, I want these two guys to coach until the wheels fall off, right? Literally in both cases, and we want them, of course, to coach right here at Kansas until the wheels fall off, until they decide it's time to shut it down. So I think the mentality is similar, right? There's 20 years of track record for Bill. There's 2 national championships. There's things that haven't been achieved in basketball anywhere over his journey here. Football, the indications obviously in year 3 are just incredible. We demonstrated a strong commitment a year ago, but that doesn't mean you just sit idle, doesn't mean you get comfortable. And ultimately, I think we've got a chance to have, and maybe we already do, have the 2 best in the country when you take into account men's basketball and football coaches. So we'll ensure that that's the way we go about it going forward.
You've mentioned being proactive with Lance before. Does that mean those conversations are already ongoing, or at least in a general sense?
No, I mean, I think there's again, trying to, doing that midstream, critical moments of a season. If you can avoid it, you want to avoid it, but you don't avoid it at the risk of misaligning, right? If that makes sense. Yeah. So it's certainly not a science. He's been great. He and I have the kind of open relationship where we can really have any discussion as a touch base. We can understand where each other's heads are at, where we might pick up a conversation, if that makes sense, at an appropriate time. And so I think, here we are, and there's still a lot of football to play, and that's the way we're approaching it at this point.
Even with his restructured deal last year, is it flattering to you that the speculators are out there mentioning his name?
You're talking Lance, that is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot better than the alternative, right? Where they're talking about, well, here we are again, it's not working, and this AD can't make a hire, and what the heck are we going to do next time? So we sure take it over that. No, it's actually, I think it's really good, and I think anybody, I got to be careful here, anybody with half a brain, maybe I am not that careful, knows that what he's doing and what he's done here is incredible, and that it's not just because, and it's not just getting breaks, it's because he's a program builder, and we're living and experiencing that at a level that, most of us, whether that be people here locally or regionally, or even the country who follow college football closely, don't fathom is possible. I mean, I think that's to me what it indicates. I would be shocked if his name wasn't bubbling up one way or the other in just about every opening. It just would indicate, like, what are we doing in our industry if that's not happening? So I'm excited for that, continuing to reiterate that we've got a great one, and we've got a great one that's excited about and committed to leading KU.
Thanks, Travis.